Hello friends, I am Welshie, and welcome to Theory Pop. In this video, we're looking at one of the best video game movies of all time. A video game movie that did so well with audiences that a sequel has already been greenlit. So let's get started on today's cinema subject, Sonic the Hedgehog. And as always, beware of spoilers ahead. When the words video game movie are uttered, many people's first thoughts will be of shameless cash grab tie-ins and soulless Uwe Boll films. We've repeatedly seen movie studios snap up a license, only to produce a shambling mess of a film that barely resembles the original title it was based on. The House of the Dead, the Resident Evil movies, all of them, Dungeon Siege, Doom, the list goes on. There were some bright spots though. 2006's Silent Hill, based on Konami's popular horror game franchise, may not have been perfect, but did succeed in being pretty scary, and nailed a lot of the visual tone from the games. 2018's Tomb Raider did a solid job of matching the style of the game series since its reboot by Crystal Dynamics in 2013. But then, in May of 2019, something amazing happened. A video game movie was released, was warmly received by both fans and critics, and went on to have the best opening for a video game movie in North America at the time, taking over $54 million. Detective Pikachu, based on Nintendo's wildly popular Pokemon games, was a hit. Films based on games could actually be good, and here was the proof. But could lightning strike twice? Could video game movies finally move out from under the shadow of mediocrity that had plagued them for so long? The answer appeared to be no. In April of 2019, after months of speculation and leaked character designs, the first trailer for Paramount Pictures' Sonic the Hedgehog movie was released. It did not go down well. Between Sonic's strangely human redesign, the uncertain tone of the trailer, and the bizarre choice of Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise as the backing music, the first public reveal was widely criticised. The design of this weird blue alien had little in common with the iconic gaming mascot he was supposed to be based on. The trailer led to multiple questions. What was the deal with his teeth? Why were his eyes so wrong? What was the film trying to be? Fans of the Blue Blur made their opinions clear. Sonic did not look like Sonic. Shortly after the trailer's debut, the movie's director, Jeff Fowler, announced that the fan feedback was being taken on board and the movie was being delayed from its original launch date of November 2019 to February of the following year. This would allow the studio to adjust Sonic's appearance to something more in keeping with the gaming mascot's design. Tyson Hesse, who had worked on Archie Comics' Sonic the Hedgehog comics and director of the animated trailers for Sonic Mania, was brought in to lead the redesign of Sonic for the movie. Finally, on November 12th of 2019, the same month the movie had originally been scheduled for release, a brand new trailer was released for the film, showing off the newly revamped Sonic design. This time, the fans were pleased. Sonic's redesign looked great, being much more in keeping with his appearance from the games, while still having a few changes to fit a live-action world. The trailer's tone was more upbeat, with a greater emphasis on comedy and action. There was hope for Sonic's live-action big screen debut. The movie was officially released on February 14th, Valentine's Day of 2020, and performed exceedingly well at the box office. It beat Pokemon's opening weekend record, with Sonic taking $58 million to Detective Pikachu's $54 million. It was even reviewed fairly well by critics and audiences. Ben Schwartz's portrayal of Sonic was positively received, as was Jim Carrey's portrayal of evil genius Dr. Robotnik. It was a fun film. The film even managed to tease a sequel in a mid-credits scene, featuring a cameo by none other than Sonic's faithful sidekick, Miles Tails Prower. The movie went on to make almost $307 million against a budget of between $81 and $95 million. However, the takings from the box office could have been higher had it not been for the outbreak of a global pandemic, which forced many countries to implement lockdown and quarantine procedures that resulted in the closure of thousands of cinemas. The film's release was delayed in both China and Japan due to COVID-19, but despite the loss of these two markets, the film has been a success. So successful in fact, that a sequel has been confirmed. Jim Carrey has stated he would be interested in revisiting the role of Dr. Robotnik, as he does not believe the character has reached his apotheosis. Jeff Fowler, the film's director, has plans for a sequel that would pull more elements from the games. James Marsden, who plays Sheriff Tom Wachowski, has apparently been signed on for future sequels. And on May 28th of this year, a sequel was officially announced. Exciting times ahead, folks! But what could we expect to see in a sequel? There's still plenty of untapped potential storylines from the games, both the classic and modern eras. There's a lot of possibilities here. But there are two possible plots in particular that I think could form the basis of the next film. The website fandom.com spoke with Pat Casey, co-writer of the movie, and put questions from the movie's fans directly to him. One of those questions concerned the Echidna tribe from the beginning of the movie, and their relationship to a staple character from the games.
Well, I mean, I can't reveal too much, but they are echidnas, and Knuckles is an echidna. So, I mean, I would guess they're related in some way, but what exactly that relationship is, you know, we'll have to see how things develop. The Echidna tribe was certainly not chosen at random.
It's almost certain that the Echidna tribe that attacked Sonic and Longclaw are related to Knuckles. But Knuckles, the dutiful guardian of the Master Emerald, isn't one to go seeking fights, wealth or power. His main priority is to protect the Master Emerald on Angel Island. So why would this tribe of echidnas, his relatives, be so aggressive in trying to capture Sonic? Why, as Longclaw tells Sonic, would they be after his power? Is there any precedent from the games for a tribe of echidnas to act like this? In the 1998 Dreamcast game Sonic Adventure, as the player progresses through the storylines of the playable characters, they are frequently shown glimpses of events from the long-distant past that set the game's story in motion. An ancient clan of echidnas, led by Chief Pachacamac, called the Knuckles clan, oddly enough, were in the midst of expanding their empire. These echidnas were aggressive and wished to take over the entire world. In an attempt to forcibly take the Master and Chaos Emeralds and acquire the power to defeat their enemies, the echidnas attacked the peaceful Chao that lived at the Emerald Shrine. This angers Chaos, the guardian of the shrine, who attacked and almost wiped out the echidna civilization. This may be why Tails has come to find Sonic. In the mid-credit scene, when Tails arrives on Earth looking for the Blue Hedgehog, he hopes he isn't too late. The echidnas, failing to capture Sonic at the start of the first film, have been searching for an alternative source of power to aid in their expansion of their empire. Finding it in the Chaos Emeralds, the expansionist tribe have unleashed a force of retribution they cannot defend against, the power of Chaos, which now threatens to destroy their world. Tails has come to get Sonic, as only the Hedgehog's speed can rival the power of the monster that has been unleashed. That potential storyline, adapted from Sonic Adventure, would allow for two big developments in the movie universe. First, the introduction of Knuckles, the last known survivor of his tribe. Just as with the classic 2D games of the 90s, Knuckles would start as an antagonist, but gradually become a more friendly rival as the movie progresses. Sonic in particular would have a hard time trusting Knuckles, as it was the echidnas that attacked him and Longclaw and forced the Hedgehog to abandon his home. Knuckles, on the other hand, would only know of Sonic from what the Echidna clan had told him, and given that the tribe had attempted to capture the Blue Blur in the past, this may be a negative opinion. It would certainly be an interesting explanation for Sonic and Knuckles' initial distrust and aggression toward each other, and a possible alternative to the game's established canon of Robotnik being the one responsible for it. Secondly, we could see the arrival of Super Sonic. Sonic Super Form has been a staple of the game series since Sonic 2 on the Mega Drive. It feels somewhat fitting that his live-action debut would be in the second film of the movie universe. If the sequel does go down the route of introducing the Chaos Emeralds via Knuckles and the Echidna tribe, then Sonic could easily come into contact with the 7 powerful gems and unleash his super form. Considering Sonic was needed to defeat Perfect Chaos in Sonic Adventure, that would work well in the movie as the climactic battle, if that's the direction the film's writers choose to go. But that's just one possible plot to follow, and as much as I love the idea of introducing more about the Echidnas, and Knuckles especially, the Perfect Chaos storyline could be better saved for a later movie. I think a more likely plot for the sequel would revolve around the return of Dr. Robotnik. As I mentioned earlier, Jim Carrey has stated he would like to revisit the role of Robotnik and develop his character further. This first movie was just the beginning of the genius doctor's antagonistic relationship with Sonic. What could we see from Robotnik in the next film? Robotnik, when we last saw him at the end of the movie, is trapped on the Mushroom Planet and losing his sanity. The genius scientist, who has never before known failure, will obsess over his defeat at the hands of Sonic. Everything should have gone perfectly. He had a nearly unlimited supply of energy from the Hedgehog's quill. His experimental machine was able to match the alien's speed perfectly. The Doctor had his adversary on the ropes until the last second, when the unthinkable happened. He lost. How had he so grievously miscalculated? Robotnik held the advantage in that fight. He should have won. He never miscalculates. He couldn't have lost. And then the realization will hit. The flaw in his plan was not with his mind, but his body. He couldn't move fast enough, respond quickly enough, to manipulate the controls of his vehicle to match Sonic. Yes, powered by the energy from Sonic's quill, his machine was easily able to match the alien's incredible speed. But Sonic's reaction times are also at superhuman levels, as proven by the bar fight scene. Sonic basically walks around at a relatively normal pace, perceiving everything around him as moving in slow motion. There was no way Robotnik could counter that. Inputting commands to the controls of his craft at normal human reaction times, he was unable to react to Sonic's movements quickly enough to guarantee victory. So of course, Robotnik will devise an ingenious solution: remove the human factor entirely. One fewer link in the decision-making chain would streamline the actions of his next creation, a machine capable of responding directly to Sonic's movement and speed without the hindrance of requiring any input from a slow human hand. A robot fueled by the Hedgehog's own energy, a construct in the form best designed to take advantage of such power, a metal Sonic. Robotnik still has Sonic's quill at the end of the movie, and it's implied to retain a supply of Sonic's energy. Robotnik could design a machine specifically intended to take advantage of that speed and power provided by this source of energy. The craft he used to battle Sonic in the film was not designed to handle that kind of energy or speed. It was an experimental creation that had been made before Robotnik was aware of Sonic's existence. It's unlikely the machine was using the full power of the quill efficiently, a problem compounded by the already mentioned human reaction times. Creating a new robotic frame from scratch, one designed to move at supersonic speeds while making decisions and responding in nanoseconds without human interference, would provide the best possible chance at beating Sonic. That would be an intense climactic battle for the next movie to work towards. The Sonic the Hedgehog movie was a critical and commercial success, continuing the upward trend of successful video game movie adaptations, dragging the genre towards a brighter future. The cast from the film, as well as fans of the Sega mascot, have expressed their desire to see another entry in the franchise, with a new entry in the series having now been announced, the teasing setup for a wider universe with the introduction of Tails, and several exciting potential plot threads to follow. We could see a great sequel to one of the best video game movies ever made. But what do you folks think? What would you like to see in a sequel to the Sonic the Hedgehog movie? Which other video games would make great films? Let me know in the comments. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, hit the like button, subscribe and tap the bell to be notified when new videos go live, and I will see you next time.